Now, take me to draft night where, Rob goes early, and I believe you were projected to go like somewhere in the fourth round, if I'm not mistaken, or that's at least from one report. And then you go undrafted, but then very quickly right after you sign with the Cowboys. Take me through that whole draft night experience. And I imagine, I saw one interview with your whole family where your dad gets a little emotional talking about when he's watching you. So I couldn't even imagine what he's like on draft night when he has two of his boys in the potential draft. But take me through that night with the whole Gronkowski family.
Yeah, so we were actually in New York City for the first round. The first round's the first night. So, that day, it was a little rough for us because we thought Rob was going first round, and he didn't end up going first round. So we came back the second day. He went early. It was a party for sure. We all celebrated. Ended up heading back to Buffalo to kind of to get like this draft party going, and then the last day, the third day was I think third through seventh round. So for me, I was told by my agent right away that there's a small chance I'd be drafted. And even with that, he kept saying over and over, like, you might be in a better situation if you go undrafted. At my position, at where I was at, sometimes the best thing is to pick the team that you go to. If you get drafted, you don't get to. And what they're really doing late in the rounds is picking for value, not necessarily picking for who they need. Mm-hmm. So my brother Dan got picked up in the seventh round, and he went to the Lions and got stuck behind a lot of really good players. They didn't really need another tight end. They just took him because he was the best available. So my agent really stressed that a lot. Like, hey, you're probably better off just picking where you go. And, some of the teams that I think you should go to don't necessarily have picks towards the end there. So I definitely wasn't upset. I wasn't necessarily expecting it. And my agent did a great job of finding a home for me. And the second, the draft was over, I didn't even make the decision. It was just, hey, I know where you're going, and you're going here. You're signing with the Cowboys. So definitely props to Drew Rosenhaus and putting me in the right spot at the right time.
Now, I got to tell you, I've been a diehard Cowboys fan. So you're my first football player on the podcast. So that's really exciting for me. So I'm happy it's you. And then I'm also happy that you were a Cowboy because I personally love the Cowboys. And Tony Romo was always my favorite player growing up. And I know you played with him. Do you have any memorable stories from your time with Tony?
Man, I mean, for the most part, he would just, my memorable stories were getting whooped on the golf course by him, man. Yeah, I was with him during the lockout. So, we had a lot of extra time that year. And during that time, we were able to golf at the Cowboys golf course for free. So I saw him up there all the time. I saw a lot of the members, they would just love to brag about how much money they lost to Tony. I'm like, man, like, that's really not that cool that, that you lost a bunch of money to that golf. So it's kind of it's funny to see. But yeah, he was just such a natural athlete at everything. He could just go on the field, and he was actually just his athletic ability was insane. And then you see him on the golf course, you're like, damn, man, yeah, what can't you do?
And talk to me about the relationship when you first get into that NFL locker room. You first, especially at America's team, that's a big deal. What's it like when you walk into that locker room for the first time and you're like, holy fuck, I'm in the NFL?
Dude, that's definitely intimidating, man. Especially the Cowboys. They were definitely a different situation than any other team I played with. Just the media attention and the amount of people in the locker room on the field was just insane. And I didn't know the difference at first, but once I went to other teams, I realized really quickly that, man, this is a way different atmosphere in Cowboy Stadium than anywhere else. So, yeah, it was definitely a little bit different. I walked into a locker room with just big name after big name, man, and they'd show up in a new $100,000 car every day. And man, I'm driving this used, beat up car, man. Like, man, this is crazy. So definitely feel like you kind of don't fit in at first, and gotta make a name for yourself.
Is there someone that took you under their wing kind of early on that you remember once you got in the locker room?
Man, so one guy that was really cool was DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah,
he didn't care who you were. He'd come up, say hi to you. I used to work out with him. He invited me to work out, like personally work out with him in the off season, and he absolutely whooped my ass too. Man, we started this workout like terrorizes me to this day, but it was like the warm up was 20 reps of 225 cleans, and it was just a beatdown, man. And then it went right to this like ginormous tire, like bigger than any ginormous tire I've ever seen. We were just doing tire flips just to start it. I'm like, so how long is this workout, man? Because I'm already toasted after the first one. But no, I got lucky too, where I got in a situation where my roommate was undrafted as well. Actually, I have his jersey at my wall. But I went to school with him at Maryland. And when I transferred, I lost touch with him. And then, we reconnected. Both were undrafted free agents, and kind of made this pact that on day one, we said, hey, we're going to do everything we possibly can to make this team. And when you have someone in there with you in the same situation as you, just absolutely grinded it out, man, it pushes you so much harder. And man, you have the support of each other. So that was Phil Costa, and we both made the team that year. An undrafted free agent hadn't made it in like 10 years or something crazy like that. And he went on to, I think he was there for 4 years. He signed a deal with the Colts afterwards, a nice deal, a couple million signing bonus, and he had to actually give it back and retire because his back had a back injury, and it just wasn't getting better. But if it wasn't for him, it definitely would have been a lot tougher for me to make that team.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at felix.levine, and if you have something to say, please leave a comment.